Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like. It is Friday. I just posted a video about my first bust on Catalina Island. Last night, Thursday, I was going to do a live. Matter of fact, it's still posted. Correctional officers of Butner, listen up, whatever. I'll probably title this the same. But I decided to go ahead and do this in video fashion because when I do my lives, I know I have a problem with answering people too much, starting the story, skipping it, bouncing. I get it. I do. So this was important to me, and I wanted to put this out on video for clarity, and so I didn't bounce in the chat room and get involved in all that. So here's what happened. Yesterday morning, I get a call. Early, a text or a message first, and then a call saying, dude, what did you do? I go, what do you mean? He said, you outed a certain correctional officer. He's one of the good ones. I did a video a week or two ago, said something about Thanksgiving, something that happened. I forgot the title now, I just watched it yesterday. But here's what happens. Here's what happened. In that video, I mentioned a correctional officer. I did not mention him by name, and I did not think that I disrespected him or made his life bad in any kind of way. But I went back and watched the video, and I was like, oh man. So I didn't mention this person by name. I said he was a young black kid, and when I say kid, I call anybody my age and younger kid. Thank you, people from New York. I pick up different accents and stuff along the way in prison and Arkansas, California, and kid is one of those things that I got from guys from New York. I call a lot of people, hey kid. So anyway, I don't mean no disrespect by that. I also mentioned that he wore jewelry. I still don't think that was even disrespectful. Young black dude that's pretty fly. So that he was easy to identify too by that, and because I said on Thanksgiving he was working. So here's some of the things that I said. I said, number one, that he made an announcement that basically don't bother me and I'll bother you. I don't remember saying he was lazy. That was never the intent, and I need to be clear about this. Do you know how many correctional officers come to work and say, hey, don't bother me and I won't bother you guys? That was not a slight to this dude whatsoever about his job performance or what he does and does not do. He is one of the, quote, good ones, meaning he doesn't unnecessarily F with people, okay? That was my overall point. I made comments about he didn't get the guys food on time and that he locked these guys in the cell during a holiday. The guy, his name was Cowboy, was a real prick to this officer. And rather than have him locked up and put in the shoe, which he could have done because he cussed at the cop, he locked the door. So I didn't explain all that in that video. Like, that wasn't a bad thing that the cop did that. It was Thanksgiving, yes, true. But looking at it from both perspectives, so I want to be clear. Also, he was written up for this. The guy's name starts with W. I'm not going to put his full name out there. So people from Butner, especially at the FMC, know exactly what I'm talking about. He was written up, so I didn't even look at that as being a problem. But the bigger problem I did mention, and it's because I didn't elaborate, is this. I mentioned that he made an announcement in the bubble, in the core, center core. And in the announcement, he said, I'm going to, line up over here. I'm giving out your tickets. We used to get tickets for holiday meals because people double up so that way they can only have one meal per ticket, okay? And at the end of the line, he was done, and he made the comment that, man, I can sell these for flat books. It may have sounded like I said that he was one of the cops that actually gets stamps from inmates and then goes and resells them, because I mentioned that officers do this. Cops have been busted. Case managers have been busted for this. Alan Wood, or was he a counselor? That happened in like 2004, 2003. And what I mean by that is currency in federal prison is usually stamps. It could be mackerels or soups or whatever, but it's commissary, but more to the point, stamps. Postage stamps are currency. Now, what has happened in the past is cops have brought in contraband and had been paid in stamps, and then they will take those stamps to the street and they will sell them. There's different agencies that will buy stamps for a discount rate. This officer was not one of these guys. He made the comment about the stamp issue. He was saying I can get a flat book. He could have, if not two. But that's not what he did, and I need to really, really put that out there. And I want to stress that that officer does do what he's supposed to do. And that's, what is it, five cells per, you're supposed to shake down 5 cells per shift or something like that. He does walk his hourly rounds. And I made it sound like this dude didn't kind of, it's not that, it's that I left gaps out and it could be construed as something that he was doing wrong. So I apologize, sincerely for that, especially to him. Now, when I was at Butner FMC and when I went back on violation in general, I was taking the who's naughty and who's nice list of staff members, okay? And I was telling staff openly that I'm going to blast some of these guys on YouTube. I have not yet really, I did that with one person so far at a Butner FMC, what was it, in Ferguson? Yeah, I think so. He worked in E1, which is the psych patient ward or whatever. It's where they had suicide watch. And the guy he's a total jerk off prick. I hope he gets fired. Straight up. Wish he'd get fired right now. I hope that video got him fired. For real. I hope they did an internal investigation. OIA came in and they rewound cameras, and I hope he got fired. Straight up. No problem. There's other staff members that did things, but they would do some things that were out of line for, like, leave my water running for 4 days and get annoyed when I asked to turn it off or to turn the hot water on and off. I can think of one female whose name starts with an S, but I was going to blast her, but I was mad that day. So I do reserve the right to come back and take off and blast any correctional officer for any reason at any given time. Did you hear me? I reserve the right to come back and out any correctional officer that I have run across at any given time for any reason, okay? I reserve that right. Not saying I'm going to do it. I reserve the right. Correctional officers in the Federal Bureau of Prisons currently have a tough job. They are understaffed. It may be getting better. Across the country, I see police forces are starting to get some numbers up. After the George Floyd incident, police really took a hit. That's one of the issues. COVID messed up the prison system in general, got people used to being locked down and for any given reason all the time. But correctional officers for sure do have it hard. I will say this about Butner. Butner was historically one of those institutions. I'm talking about the entire complex, okay? That really went by policy. Now, a lot of the policy, like on the street, it's up to the officer discretion. You got your cool ones, you got your jerk-offs. And I always tell correctional officers, people have contacted me, that are becoming correctional officers, what do you give new advice to this and that? Be consistent. If you're going to be an asshole, always be an asshole. Guys will respect you more, okay? We're in this weird era in criminal justice where the cowboy days are over, but yet you still have remnants of those. And then they went for this like psychology push, but the psychology push to do like a kinder, gentler thing towards prisoners, the incarcerated. You gotta watch how you say that now. People get pissed if you say inmates or convicts or da-da-da-da. You gotta really watch. Actually, Trump's in office. We ain't gotta do that no more right now, right? So, you don't have to be politically correct right now, but that'll change again. They're in this weird space where the psychology thing didn't work out because enough wasn't implemented in it. Enough wasn't really focused on that. And there's still, even with the signing of the First Step Act and the law, that's all still bullshit. So In full disclosure, I say that a lot. There's something nostalgic, and then I miss about the cowboy days. That's when correctional officers can beat your ass for any given reason, but it worked out. Look, it was working, but the fact of the matter is, our recidivism rates are too high. They're too high because we violate people for getting high. And I don't think that should be the case, okay? But that's not correctional officers' problem. Let me get back to the correctional officers. I've seen such a big change in the staff at Butner. They're like deflated, defeated, morally broken. The rookies come in and they're forced to work like 16-hour shifts. Things are bad in the BOP, probably gonna get better. But as they get better, I want correctional officers to understand this. Number one, what I just said. If you're going to be an asshole, if that's what it's in you, if you were picked on as a kid and that's why you got your job, be an asshole. Full time. Don't switch up. If you're going to be cool, people understand that you have to do your job sometimes, okay? That doesn't mean bringing in contraband and giving people the green light to do whatever they want. I'm not saying that. That's your discretion as well. I was told by an OIG person that came and tried to interview me for a guy named Randy Bell, which I didn't bust the captain out on that issue. But in the conversation that we had, he mentioned that gangs were good for prison. First of all, when you have gangs and when you have conflict with races, the staff doesn't have to worry about you going after them. The executive staff or even central office and stuff doesn't have to worry about people, certain policy changes or guys trying to group up to do like food strikes and to change things is what I'm trying to say, because we're all at each other's throats, and white guys are the worst in prison. White gang members are amongst the worst, okay? So what am I trying to say here? Okay, I got lost. I don't think that it's good to depend on gangs the way that they do. I think it's all in the officers' favors for that to happen. I get that there's people that are influential in person. I've been one of them in my life that staff can go to and talk to it and you can get problems resolved. I get that. Some of those people in those positions have too much power, right? Also, when it comes to this thing with synthetic drugs, especially K2, it's a very, very, very serious problem. People die, people have strokes, there's people in the hospital that are half vegetables. Up on the 5th floor, I was told by a counselor, I never saw it. So I hope you weren't lying. They don't know what to do because you can't get a dirty urine for this stuff. So what happens is go watch videos on Spice, K2, synthetic marijuana. Look at the zombie effect. Guys are flipping, they're out of their minds, they're incoherent, they throw up, they vomit, they choke on their vomit. But what staff then has done is that they've started making it to where if one person gets high, they get frustrated because they go shake the person down, they can't find a little square piece of paper that's the drugs on. I mean, they're microdots that people get high on, okay? So that's really frustrating, but then they take it out on the general population as well, so they lock everybody down. I think that's total BS. That's not the correctional officers. It comes from the upper staff, captain, lieutenants. Your drug problems and they work out to your advantage as well, to the correctional officer's advantage as well. I will say this to correctional officers who bring contraband in. I was all for that when I was in prison. Usually they end up getting busted, so know that. And I personally wish that Congress would make it mandatory, and I'm not some big mandatory minimum fan. I wish they'd make it a mandatory 20 years for any cop bringing in contraband. When it comes to the visitations issue, I think that there should be upward variances on cops that bring in. They get off too light. But the bigger problem usually comes, or I think that would be the bigger problem, but there's also the problem of coming in through visitation. We don't want visitation stopped. People that are incarcerated don't want visitation stopped. Personal visits, there's only a few that have drugs brought in. The mail, that's changing. It can't wipe that all the way out. But the truth is, they do let people deal drugs, especially if they like them. A lot of those drug dealers snitch for favors. They usually keep, I guess it's the animal that they know, right? So it's better to have the person with the sack or the clavo, somebody that they can know and relate to, because they like people that generally don't want to commit violence. So if you're the guy bringing in drugs, for example, and you're not somebody that's going to go assault people that owe you money, they'd rather have that person, right? And it makes sense. The problem is still this drug thing in prison too is it's a nightmare on many levels. But that comes out of boredom. That comes out of not having proper programs. You guys that are correctional officers, you know that those programs that they have, a solid 90% are BS. Now, let me get back to the Butner complex specifically. That place has just, it's gone downhill. Staff isn't the same. Again, like I said, there's the culture. They're broken, morally defeated right now. Their morale need to boost. But that does not mean to crack down hard on every little thing in the inmate. That does not mean to go back to the kind of cowboy days, even though you can't get away with that. And there's a bigger point here too. And I want to say it to correctional officers everywhere. The days of getting away with stuff, even though some still are about over. You got cameras all over the institutions. You've got inmate cameras and microphones, which are worse. And you've got YouTube. And you got people like me that can put stuff out on YouTube. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that there's correctional officers and certain things that need to be fully exposed. I am of the mindset for my channel that whatever happens in prison is fair game on YouTube. People call me a rat and a snitch because I've said this person got high that's now a crime family person. I don't care. And I'm not even being an asshole about that. Whatever. Again, my goal is not to get people in trouble, including correctional officers. Never meant to cause you no problems. Never meant to cause you no pain. That's like, what was I just, I've been watching too many 80s music. That was Prince. Never meant to cause you any problems. Anyway, a lot of good staff members. Jackson, counselor, Brooklyn's finest counselor extraordinaire. If I've said anything in the videos about counselors, never meant to cause you any problems either. Likewise on the case manager Williams. Even though Williams, I think, I'm not going to do that to you. So my point is, be careful what you do if you don't want it on YouTube. I get that your jobs are hard. I wish every one of you guys that are correctional officers would go and watch the video about the prison in the Netherlands. I did a special. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on it right now. I did a live about it. Oh man. Is it in Norway? I just drew a blank. Damn it. It's the world's nicest prison or whatever. It's a maximum security prison, and it's just like being on the street, except they're closed in. I'd like every guard to go watch that. Why would I want every guard to go watch that? I'm not saying that would work in the United States right now. It won't. We have a cultural problem that then goes into the prison system. A lot of our culture comes from prisons, onto the street, through music and everything. And I always say about hip hop music, then I started listening to 80s music lately, even the new wave stuff, which totally influenced my life on the whole drug thing. So sorry, hip hoppers, I've been taking off too much on you guys about destroying our culture with your music, but it's we can go way back on that. But look at what they do in those prisons. Look at the level of violence that they don't have. Look at the way that those guys are treated. And maybe you can get some lessons from that. Again, we can't do that in this country at this time. I wish we could. But the recidivism rate, look at the recidivism rate. That's what it's really all about. To you guys that are correctional officers in prisons, what it's really all about, I get that there's people that are never going out. I get that's a small fraction of the prison population. Look at them and say, who would you want to be your neighbor or not? You're going to say most people no. But those people get out and go back into communities. And I have been watching a lot of stuff on brain science and psychology. And I'm going to tell you that people who do long-term, something happens in our body, in our brains, in our DNA. I haven't got a handle on all that yet, but I will eventually. But I'm watching videos about mice changes that are stressed out or that have, and it goes and it becomes generational. For example, we talk about slavery in the United States. There are remnants and effects in African Americans that have come from those people being enslaved. I'm not saying that everybody's, I'm just saying there's things happen in our DNA. I fully believe that. And I fully believe that with people that are enslaved, including my people from back in the day. I have Sicilian blood in me too, so I'm all mixed up, right? Actually, we have more French than we thought. It was crazy. But anyway, as a DNA test, my dad took. There's something when it comes to incarceration that happens inside of us. And you guys can make a bigger difference. I get that your job is to watch people and basically be adult babysitters at times, but it's more than that. And I also get that. These flies are killing me. I also get that the jobs are tough. Correctional officers are doing time as well. 100%. And you do take work home with you and you come back with it too. Don't lie. So I know that sounds good, but you do. It's human nature. Correctional officers are human, and so are prisoners. Prisoners do learn. It is a trait of being incarcerated to become manipulative. I would say that some of the best manipulators in the world are formerly incarcerated people or people that are incarcerated. But look at a lot of the reasons why. We have to manipulate to get bed moves. We have to manipulate to get medical stuff done. People hold that against people that are incarcerated too much. They're just manipulative scumbags. I got into this with one of the POs up there. And my dumbass smarted off to him and said, yeah, I'm a master manipulator. I had to out-manipulate the best, which is you guys, because you guys are trained in manipulation at hate school in Glencoe. Your hate school. Glencoe, stop being a hate school. That's the federal training facility, by the way. And it does, I've seen newbies come in that were like cool and go to hate school and come out and just wash. And then they kind of taper down at times. But take a look at the video about that prison. See how the staff treated them. I know you guys are going to freak out, some of you that haven't seen it, but there's something to that. But remember, what you're doing in prisons has an effect on the communities later in life. It does. Again, I want to apologize to W. Man, I swear to God, you were the last one I would ever, one of the last ones that I'd ever want to harm in any kind of way because of something I put out there. You know? And you do have a good job for a young guy. And it's a good, listen, at the end of the day, I think corrections is not a bad career choice. We can look at the retirement rates and see that a lot of them kill themselves and become drunks and beat their wives. But hey, it's still a good chance. That's personal issues. That's deep-seated personal issues. Also, I want to say this about the correctional officers. We had a lot of correctional officers coming from the military. The wars have stopped. Well, you know what I mean. So Afghanistan, Iraqis, they were coming in. A lot of people don't want to be COs. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. Try to be a better correctional officer, whatever that means to you individually. Remember, there's YouTube exists and there's people like me on it, and there's prison channels just popping up every day. This genre's getting like huge, saturated, but it's, hey, you know what? I'm all for it. Anyway, take care.